The Red Apple by Faradin Oral. You can tell what kind of weather it is, can't you, Miss Fry?
I sure can. It looks mighty cold.
On a cold winter's day, a hungry rabbit left his burrow to find something to eat. But he couldn't find a scrap of food. Everything was buried under the deep, deep snow. I have to find some food before it gets dark, Rabbit said to himself. And then Rabbit saw it, a lone red apple hanging from a tree. He skipped and jumped for joy all the way to the tree. At last, something to fill my tummy, he said. But the apple was too high. However hard the rabbit hopped and jumped, he couldn't reach it. I bet Mouse could climb the tree, Rabbit thought. Rabbit ran and ran all the way to Mouse's nest. Mouse listened carefully to Rabbit and agreed to help. But when they came to the tree, Mouse said, "I can't climb that high. I'm just a little mouse. I might fall. Maybe if I stand on your head, I can pick the apple." But the apple was still too high. And however hard she tried, Mouse couldn't reach it. Suddenly, they heard a loud sneeze.
Achoo!
Fox came snuffling over and sneezing through the woods. "Hey, over here!" shouted Rabbit. Fox felt a bit under the weather, but he was curious to see what the fuss was about. Rabbit and Mouse pointed excitedly at the single apple hanging from the tree. "Can you get it for us?" Rabbit asked. Fox took a long, hard look at the apple. "It's a fine, ripe apple," he said, "but I'm cold and feeling tired. I can't climb the tree. Maybe I can knock it off with my tail." Fox stood on his front legs, and he stretched and wobbled and swayed, flicking his tail, but he couldn't knock the apple off the tree. And then Clever Mouse had an idea. "I know," she said. "Why don't we stand on top of each other? Then we'll be tall enough to get the apple." They did as Mouse suggested, but they still couldn't reach the apple. They sat down under the tree. They talked and they argued, but they couldn't think of a way to get the apple. Then they heard a deep, rumbling growl. Oh no, they had woken a bear. When the sleepy bear came plodding over, the three of them told her all about the apple. Bear scratched her head and said, "I'm too old to go climbing trees." But Rabbit had been thinking and had a plan. "We can climb on your big, strong shoulders." So they climbed up and up, one on top of the other, until at last they reached the apple. But just as Mouse was about to pick it,
Achoo!
Fox sneezed, and the next thing they knew, they were all in a heap on the ground. They picked themselves up, sat down sadly on the cold, hard snow, and stared at each other. And then they saw it. The apple was sitting right in front of them. "We did it!" they cried, and they carefully split the big, juicy apple into 4 pieces and ate it for dinner. And when their tummies were full, they all cuddled up inside Bear's cave and fell into a deep, happy sleep. The end.